guys, Ryan Adams from motorcycle.com here with one of the most anticipated bikes that I've probably had the chance to ride in all of my motor journalism career, and it's the Harley Davidson Pan America. So today we traded in the black leather for full moto boots and rally gear and had 2 days to go check out everything that this bike has to offer as far as street performance, off-road performance, and just really get an idea of what this all-new platform is that Harley Davidson just brought to market. And to put it short, it's a really stunning bike. It definitely has a place among the other big adventure bikes. There are some standout features that make it even more compelling for new adventure riders or adventure riders in general. But yeah, let's get into it. I think the thing that surprised me the most when I jumped on this bike on the first day of riding was the motor. You know, it doesn't have that real low-end torque that your typical Harley has right off closed throttle that's just really pulls the bike forward. But as soon as it spools up past like 3 grand, this thing takes off, and it's such a performance-oriented bike. And of course, you have a lot of technology to kind of tailor the motor's characteristics, but it was just a pretty stunning realization as soon as we took off. So Harley Davidson really did a great job with R&D, and the motor, I hope they put it into some other platforms, maybe a naked bike, who knows, down the road. The heart of this machine has definitely elevated my whole experience with it. Everything built around it, the chassis, the suspension, ended up handling much better than I thought it would too. I don't want to say that I had my doubts, but it's a Harley Davidson and jumping into a very competitive market with some really high performing machines. And I'm not going to get into all the details of this bike and all of the details of the new engine here. We've got the article on motorcycle.com for that, and that will have all of the technical specifications about the new motor and everything else. But I think some of the standout features that make this motorcycle different from other bikes on the market are going to be the hydraulic valves. So you're never going to have to do a valve adjustment. It automatically adjusts for you. And then also the ride height adapt. So when you come to a stop, the semi-active suspension will lower the bike. And for so many with adventure bikes, that's really a barrier to entry. They're so tall. If we're talking about a KTM, it's like 35 inches, and you can kind of just go up and down from there. But the fact that this bike has that feature, it's going to make it appeal, I think, to a really broad audience who's always been interested in adventure bikes. Is like, I can never deal with a 35-inch seat height. And with this bike, with its standard seat, it's 31.1 inches in the low position. And then you can actually get a lower seat, which drops that down another inch. And if you're taller, you can get a taller accessory seat. So you have a lot of options with this bike, as well as taller risers. If you're a taller person, you want to get the bars up higher. There's just a lot of adjustment to tailor this bike, but it really, the range ergonomically for this thing is pretty vast. And then getting into the electronics, you've got a big TFT display that allows you a lot of adjustability. I think someone counted, and there's something like 25 buttons up here, which can get confusing. But you have ride modes, you're able to customize those ride modes, everything from throttle map to fuel map to engine braking, traction control, so many different things. It really lets the rider tailor the way they want to use this machine. So on the road yesterday, we had a lot of fun, had a little bit of a sandy section at the end of the day, and I was kind of like, okay, this bike is pretty solid. I don't know if I'm totally sold on it yet, but it's been a lot of fun, and it's definitely a performance-oriented machine. It definitely could hang with all of the other bikes in the category. I'm not going to say it's the category leader. I'd love to get this bike into a shootout with all of the other bikes because it does have a lot of really great features, and it rides really well. But what was really the eye-opener was today. We spent almost the entire day off-road, and we had a chance to really rail on this bike through sand, rocks, 2-track trails, kind of everything. And we rode the bike really hard. We bottomed it. It could use some more ground clearance, but thankfully we had the accessory Harley Davidson skid plate, so that helped protect the crucial components like the battery, which is right behind the front wheel, as well as the regulator rectifier. So there's some things that are in vulnerable positions, but with the skid plate we didn't have any issues. The handguards could be a little beefier, the windscreen could be a little beefier. I think that that's probably my biggest complaint with the bike, is if you tip over a lot, if you're on a tour or something and you have some tip overs and some challenging terrain, I'm not sure how well some things will hold up, but really it's going to take time and people getting out there and riding the bike to really have a better idea about it. I didn't crash the bike today, which I'm happy about, so I can't speak to it personally, but we did see some tip overs and things that ended up breaking some components. But that said, we absolutely railed on this bike, and again, the motor works so well. The way you can change the electronics and the engine character is not a game changer by any means. You can do that on a lot of bikes these days, but it allows the rider to decide how they want to be able to ride it. So if you're riding at a higher level, you can kind of dial a lot of things back. You can turn off the ABS to the rear wheel. You can pump up the throttle map so you want an abrupt throttle off-road and sand and things like that. There's just so much to talk about with this bike. I mean, literally everything's new, but so the semi-active suspension and the ride height adjustment, you can set that in a few different parameters, but as you're coming to a stop, that will lower the bike and give you a really low, you can get your feet on the ground really easily. You can also lock that out so it doesn't happen. And then you can change the damping characteristics, but the suspension is always going to be trying to level you out at like 30% sag. So it's always going to be making sure it keeps that preload, but then you can go in and adjust the damping, and that kind of sets it at, off-road firm, off-road soft, sport, things like that. So again, there's a lot of adjustability there, and I think it's going to be a solid contender with a lot of the other bikes out there. Again, not saying it's a category leader, but we absolutely railed on these things today, and honestly, it handled better than some of the other expensive adventure bikes on the market right now, and so I'm really looking forward to a chance to get this into a shootout and really put it through its paces back to back in the same terrain with other motorcycles. I think it's a great motorcycle for the market, and I think anyone that's mildly interested will be pleasantly surprised with how this motorcycle performs. But again, guys, this is a quick overview, quick thoughts after a day of riding. I'm filthy, sweaty, sunburnt, and so if you want the full digest of of my riding opinion and whatnot, as well as the specs and the full technical breakdown of the motor, head on over to motorcycle.com and check out the article. Hopefully we'll get some more content out with this bike as soon as possible, because I think it's going to be a really important motorcycle, not only for Harley Davidson, but for the market in general. And so guys, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.